Hi there. I'm joined today by Bill Pascrell III. What an honor, as always, Bill. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jake. Good to be with you. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you taking the time out. We know you have a super busy schedule, but yeah, good that we're able to touch base ahead of our Valletta event, which is rapidly approaching now. September's come out of nowhere, but no, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you will be as well. Are you excited to come over to Europe?
Jake, you know me. Sometimes I could talk chrome off a trailer hitch. I am very excited for a host of reasons. First, I have my Malta red on
Nice.
uh, in tribute. Malta is my favorite place in the world. A lot of people kind of snicker at that, but I've been there over 24 times. I started going there in 2007, 8. And obviously, I haven't been there in 18 months. Last time I was there was November 2019
Okay.
for a medical cannabis conference, where I had the privilege to speak to the Maltese Parliament about the benefits of medical marijuana. Obviously, we're doing that massively in the US.
Yeah.
Your organization is second to none. What you did in your launch with iGaming Next in New York was extraordinary. Not only was the networking great and the right people were there, but the content was superb. Everybody had a good time, and it sells itself. And that doesn't come easy. I know it's a lot of grit and grinding from you and Pierre and Rory and the whole team, but I am very excited to come over to Valletta in less than 2 weeks.
Great. That's good to hear, Bill, and thank you for the kind words. We've not quite branched out into medical marijuana use yet, but maybe we'll put a conference on next year in that name as well.
There you go.
Yeah, diversifying here at iGaming Next. I mean, it would be remiss of me to have you on the air and not ask about kind of regulatory developments in the US. Obviously, you're right in the eye of the storm there, Bill. And the last time you spoke with Pierre, it was a really fascinating discussion. I know you spoke at some length about California. Like everyone's kind of keeping an eye on California, and I'm just wondering how much has actually changed since you had that last conversation. Are there kind of strong indications yet about which way this thing could go as we move towards November?
Yeah, I can speak with some good authority, but if I may, what I'm saying about your organization and iGaming Next is not just a casual testimonial, and it's important for the audience to know I am not being told what to say or compensated. I am a believer in my heart for the value proposition that iGaming Next adds. And I think it's pretty extraordinary because I deal with dozens of conference organizers. Your team and your human resources are committed. They're very responsive and nimble. And I'm not going to talk dodgy about your competitors, but many of them who are far larger and have been in business for far longer can't even come close to your what I would call client customer relations. That being said, let's talk a bit about California. And I want to also say, Jake, because I'm very appreciative of Pierre meeting me in Barcelona for the first time.
Yeah.
Last December. I haven't even known Pierre for a year. We began to discuss my joining the advisory board for the iGaming Next New York, which I was very proud to do, and will continue to do that. Obviously, I'm enthusiastic about going to Valletta in a couple of weeks. Primarily because I enjoy working with your organization. What you bring to the industry, I think, is critical. You understand and appreciate all of the challenges the industry has throughout the globe. And it's also additionally valuable because I just adore Malta. In terms of California, let me be spot on. I was asked by both the tribal ballot referendum, which is Prop 26, and the industry-backed referendum, Prop 27, to work on both sides. I decided not to do that. I do the best I can to advise both sides, but I don't want to get into a conflictual situation because I think it's really disappointing that the industry and the tribes couldn't have come together and have a meeting of the minds, because massive money is being spent. To date, over $300 million. More is going to be spent. They'll probably drop close to $500 million for what I would say is probably going to be a fool's errand. Why is that? Much like the podcast I did with Pierre, Jake, and I appreciate you listening to it, and I know it got some attention. I'm going to be out in California Sunday this week until September 15th. Part of it is to meet with folks in the industry, but the more important part of it for me is I'm going to meet with Governor Gavin Newsom's team, because they're scratching their heads at the campaign. It's been terrible. The industry-backed referendum is now not only trying to promote passage of theirs, but they're now going out negatively against the tribal interests and vice versa.
Yeah.
It is very unlikely that both of these initiatives will pass. And it's also unlikely that one will pass and one will fail. They usually go coterminous. As you know, the tribal ballot referendum is for retail only at the tribes. The industry-backed referendum is for online, right? I mean, and to have a opportunity to do online. It's very unfortunate that the 8th largest economy in the world has been suffering through this process, because they've been trying to do this far longer than New Jersey. And thank God New Jersey did what they did, or we wouldn't be where we are today. And listen, California's a massive populated state with great juice. But Jake, the recent polling that will probably come out in the press at the beginning of next week, it's still hovering around the low 30s, 31, 32%. When you are only at that mark and you have to get to 50% plus one vote with less than 60 days to go to the election, it's very hard to turn that around. I would run the campaign completely differently. I'm not running the campaign, but I think it's been really difficult to try to persuade the campaign professionals to move and shift and do a reset, because they've been doing this for the last 90 days since they've gotten certified to be on the ballot, and it hasn't moved the barometer at all. In addition to that, the largest, most powerful political organizations of the state, the California Democratic Party, the California Republican Party, the Speaker, the Senate President, the minority and majority leaders of both houses, the NAACP, the Teachers Union, and now multiple jurisdictions, like recently this past week, San Jose, California, which is about 1.1 million people, their city council voted to oppose both ballot referendums. So, I feel bad because, a lot of the industry folks are clients of mine. They've spent massive money, but they're not moving the dial. And the problem is, most likely both of these are going to fail. I would say pretty emphatically, I'm pretty confident right now, unless something drastic changes. And then they're off for 2 more years. They wouldn't be able to do anything until 2024. Final point, the industry is now pushing out there that Major League Baseball supports their proposition. That's very nice. But I don't think many voting age people in California are waiting to hear what the Major League Baseball organization thinks about an initiative, and that's going to persuade them to go vote positively for it. I mean, that's kind of everybody else, NFL, soccer, NCAA, NHL, PGA, they've all stayed out of it. So it's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good, and that's a shame to hear for both sides. And like you say, when they kind of made that decision to take aim at each other rather than kind of, taking the high ground and putting across the message of why their campaign would be beneficial, it was only ever really going to be a sort of race to the bottom, and neither side ends up winning. So it's a shame to see. But like you say, the polling's barely moved, and it doesn't look like improving sort of anytime soon ahead of the November ballot. Which is a big shame.
It is. It is a big shame for a host of reasons, because I would hope lessons would be learned so that the day after the initiative, we can all sit down, and I'm happy to be a bridge builder. We will all succeed if we can kind of come to terms and work with each other. And, look, the other thing is, and I'm not going to cast aspersions on any individual.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the industry. The industry are a bunch of very smart people that are tech savvy, but they need to understand something about America, and for that matter, any jurisdiction in the globe. You need to be able to localize and personalize and culturalize whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And they haven't done that. They have not done that. They haven't recognized the tribes for who they are. They've kind of looked at them as just an interest group. And I would say even more disrespectfully, they haven't treated them properly. It takes time to build these relationships. And so I am still optimistic about the potential for Texas next year.
Okay.
As you know, they only meet every other year. And I'm also still very excited about the prospect of the Seminole Tribe, Hard Rock, and Governor DeSantis being successful, even though it's rolling through the courts.
Yeah.
If you take Florida, Texas, and California, that population is massive. It's approaching 90 million people.
Yeah.
So, as you know, we have about 87.5 million people already in America that have accounts and are gambling, right? On various retail and mobile sites. We still have a large majority of folks that are gambling on black market sites, and I know that that's pretty prevalent in Florida, Texas, and California. The best way to improve RG and to suppress the black market is to regulate and legislate. And hopefully we'll see some movement there. Now, Jake, if I may, just to save time, you also wanted to discuss some other opportunities. Massachusetts, Ohio, onboarding, Kansas, all onboarding, going well. I've told all the regulators and the industry in those states, it's not about rushing to the market. It's about getting it right so that when you launch, it's not dodgy and you have to pull back. And I think all of those jurisdictions will be launching momentarily.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some silver lining there that those other states are going to be live and kicking at least. So just quickly, Bill, while I've got you on to talk again about Valletta, obviously you played a pivotal role in our New York event in May, our US event. I must say your panel with the New York Senator Joseph Adarbo was one of the highlights for me. The two of you had a great rapport, and it was great for you to kind of put him on the spot about New York's tax rate and things like that. But obviously now we're approaching a European event. How does that kind of compare to the US events for you, obviously, when you're on home soil? And I think we're giving you a chance to be kind of a panelist this time around rather than a moderator, so you can maybe speak a bit more freely.
Yeah, Jake, I really enjoy public speaking on issues that I'm passionate about. iGaming, sports betting, casino poker, lottery, it's changed my life. It has changed my life. I'm blessed. I am not the smartest or brightest ship in the port, but nobody works harder than me. I will assure you of that.
Yeah,
and
we know that.
the reason there's massive value to me, and perhaps others similarly situated, is because it's very infrequent that people like myself get a chance to hop across the pond, to go to a beautiful jurisdiction, and to meet with predominantly, for the most part, not exclusively, the European market. That's valuable to me because I learn, and if you're not learning, you might as well pack it in. I meet dozens of new people, and every single time, I'm not going to mention some of the other conferences I go to because that wouldn't be polite, but every time, I mean, just almost like it's axiomatic, I pick up a new client or two, which is good for me. I meet new people. I love working with organizations that say, hey, Bill, you know, we've seen what you've done for this, that, and the other. We need your help. Would you mind helping us? And then sort of educating them about the U.S. market, which is very different than what their prior experiences are. I'm not saying it's better. Oftentimes it's worse and more challenging. But the bottom line is, and this isn't me being an arrogant American. I'm very proud of my country, but I think my country has a lot of work to do politically with our politics. It's been horrible. Many of the pillars of our society have crumbled, from the church to government, our Supreme Court. I mean, they're all crumbling. A lot of that has to do with the power of social media and the sort of the status we're in, where facts are sometimes just not checked. But I have enjoyed being a bridge builder, and I'm not a pushover, but bringing organizations, culturally different groups together, you know, working with companies from Israel to New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, to South America, to throughout Europe. You know, Jake, as you know, and Pierre knows, I was just in Kyiv, Ukraine, on a board I sit on in December. You know, and I think, by the way, when that totally gets settled, and hopefully soon, because too many lives have been lost,
Yeah,
that is going to be the new epicenter for development. The CIS region is massively full of opportunity.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you, and it's great that you're kind of, you know, trying to unite opposing parties, Bill, be it in America or elsewhere. I think we being from the UK, I can kind of empathise with what you just said. It feels a little bit like civil societies are kind of falling down around us at times, but so there's definitely a pressing need for that. And yeah, you'll be able to hopefully touch base with people in Valletta that you can help. You'll be there available. We'll catch up, and hopefully you'll be able to catch up with a lot of the other delegates and the residents as well.
I'm very much looking forward to it. And Jake, forgive me for not saying at the outset, my deepest sympathies to the extraordinary Queen. I'm sorry for her passing. She leaves a wonderful legacy, but I know your country has many, many more centuries of positivity and productivity to contribute to the global world.
Yeah, no problem at all. I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you for your sympathies. But yeah, thanks a lot for joining me today. Great to catch up as always, Bill. And I'll come back to you for anything California related, and I'll see you in September.
Awesome. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Jake. Thank you.
Bye-bye.